Now, we were talking earlier about the waste mountain and how we get rid of it. But who produces the rubbish on our streets? A study of the litter dropped in Liverpool and Manchester has named and shamed McDonald's and Greggs, the bakers, as the worst offenders.
Their bags and cartons are thrown onto the streets and pavements more often than any other brands. In a moment, we'll be talking to Keep Britain Tidy about what needs to be done to improve the situation. But first, this from Liam O'Donoghue.
This is the first time that litter dropped on our streets has been analysed to see which brands are the worst offenders. Nationally, McDonald's packaging was found to make up almost 30% of the total. In Liverpool, unbranded chippies and kebab shops were the worst culprits, causing 58% of the litter. McDonald's made up 28% and Greggs the bakers 4%. In Manchester, 39% of litter was bags from Greggs. McDonald's was 20%. Outside Greggs in Manchester, some customers admitted it was tempting to just drop the bags.
I always feel really guilty like when I throw anything on the floor, so I always find a bin for it. But to be honest, there aren't exactly many round here, so some people probably would be pretty tempted to just throw it on the floor.
Most people we spoke to felt the public was much more to blame than the companies.
I think a lot of it is down to the people themselves. You know, we should be responsible for our litter and what we throw away.
I would say it's down to individuals, to be honest with you. I mean, there's litter bins around in Manchester city centre for people to put the rubbish in.
McDonald's says it does more than most fast food companies to tackle litter. It says staff are told to come out onto the streets and pick up litter within a 100-metre radius at least 3 times a day. Here in Manchester, it says it's hiring its own full-time litter pickers for a trial period. Despite the publicity, people have still been dropping litter on the streets of Manchester today. This discarded Greggs bag is only 25 yards from a Greggs the Bakers. Now, the company Greggs points out that all its bags carry this message: please use a bin and keep Britain tidy.
Greggs also says it's working with more than 50 councils to tackle litter. Liam O'Donoghue, North West Tonight, Manchester.
So what do you think? Should companies like McDonald's and Greggs be held responsible, or is it down to the individual? Please email us with your view on nwt@bbc.co.uk. But right now, let's find out what the Chief Executive of Keep Britain Tidy himself thinks. Joining me now from the city centre is Phil Barton. So Phil, I mean, do you think it's fair to, as you've effectively done, name and shame the likes of McDonald's and Greggs when they can't really be responsible for customers dropping their litter when they've eaten their products somewhere away down the street?
Well, I do think it's fair. I think it's obviously a joint responsibility between the customer and the retailer. But at the end of the day, we each as individuals need to take responsibility for what we do with our litter and packaging, but so do those who provide it. And we are concerned. A quarter of the streets in England have fast food packaging and litter on them, and we don't think that's acceptable.
Well, when you look at what McDonald's and Greggs say they do in the campaign against litter, I mean, they do seem to be making quite an effort, don't they? I mean, looking at McDonald's statement, they even say that your organisation, Keep Britain Tidy, acknowledges that they have done better than most fast food companies to tackle litter.
And we are working with them, and we continue to work with them. But nonetheless, we believe more could be done. We've put several ideas to the companies. We think they might, for example, give vouchers to their customers who bring their litter back, encourage more people to eat in their premises, do more still to work with local authorities and themselves to clean up in the area. It's just not an acceptable situation, and we believe strongly that it needs to be tackled.
Well, I mean, you're saying what more they could do. Do you not admit they are doing an awful lot? When you look at McDonald's statements, they say they put loads of litter bins outside. They have litter collections 3 times a day minimum outside. They do advise their customers about being responsible in litter and dropping and putting litter in bins. And Greggs say much the same. They've got signs on their bags. They've got your logo in the shop, and they work with the local authorities. They're doing a lot, aren't they?
But we've surveyed 10 city centres around England, including Manchester and Liverpool, and there are unacceptable levels of litter still out there.
Well,
yes, they're doing a lot.
How did you come to that conclusion? Was this collecting litter over a considerable period of time that got you these figures?
In December, we spent 2 days in each city between 10 o'clock and 3:30, surveying a length of street, Market Street behind me here in Manchester, Church Street in Liverpool, at hourly intervals, and we counted the items of litter that we found and those that were branded by whom. And it was consistent, it was carried out to high standards independently. There is a significant
But it's just
problem.
2 days. That's not really...
We're not claiming that this is a scientific survey. What we do know overall is that, that packaging, and fast food packaging in particular, is an increasing problem on our streets, and we want to draw attention to it. Of course, it's really important that all of us as individuals, the customers, do take responsibility for their own actions, but so too must the companies. Yes, some of them are doing quite a lot, but many of them can do more, and we're keen to see more happen, and that's why we're raising the issue.
Phil Barton, thanks very much.
Now, we've been asking for your emails this evening, and we have plenty about them, about rubbish. Have to keep keep Britain tidy. Named and shamed companies whose rubbish we were most likely to find on our streets. Galen, I think it is, in Lancaster says, obviously it is down to the individual to clean up their own waste. Is there no such thing as personal responsibility anymore?
Yes, and Colin Brearley in Oldham agrees. He says you can't blame the fast food places for the litter. It should come down to the individual. Some people are just too damn lazy to find a bin.
And isn't that the truth? Now, David in Bacup has got a novel idea. He agrees, but he does go on to say maybe the companies could supply bins with their company logo on them, get some free advertising at the same time as helping combat this litter problem.
I thought McDonald's did that.
Well, they say they put lots of bins outside in their statement. Yeah.
And finally, Mr Vernon in Blackpool thinks the companies should take responsibility. He says the drive into Blackpool is an absolute disgrace. He says when planning permission is granted for these fast food outlets, it should be made clear they are held responsible for the litter. After all, they make big profits. Thank you very much for all your contributions.
And that's it. A very good evening to you.